Okay, I'm just gonna go for it and hopefully everything works out fine. Um, these comments are about the people of Mexico as I see them. Um, it is May 12th, approximately at 9 a.m. in the morning. I'm doing this video from El Paso, Texas. Um, I was born in Mexico. At the age of 4, I was brought into the United States of America. Um, I am one of those individuals who had a difficult immigration experience, mostly because of my parents. I live in the border town of El Paso, Texas, which neighbors the Mexican town of Juarez, Chihuahua. Uh, all the work I've ever done is public contact work, uh, education, Bachelor of Science, major in psychology, minor in science, graduate of Liberty University, Lynchburg, Virginia, year 2012, the month of May. A lot of what I have to say is going to be very uncomfortable and very hard for some people to accept. However, these are the realities. I was telling a person this morning that conservative policies as they relate to immigration issues don't have anything to do with personal animosity or hatred towards the people of Mexico. I was born in Mexico. I live in a border town. My mom uh, was a Mexican. Um, do I consider myself a Mexican? No, I share nothing in common with the people of Mexico. I mean, culturally speaking, of course, they're human beings and I'm a human being. The first issue that I would have to say it's important for the people of the United States to understand is that what you're seeing today in the year 2011, the decay, the total decay of Mexican society has to do, one, yes, the politicians, the corrupt politicians, the corrupt business people, the criminal element, but also credit has to be given to the average Mexican citizen who said, uh, nothing works and why bother? That is a very bad, pervasive attitude in Mexico. That attitude has led to people not paying their taxes and bribing the tax collector. That attitude has led to people importing merchandise illegally into Mexico, basically by bribing the customs officer, the Mexican customs officer, and many other things. I could go down through a whole grocery list of behaviors that the majority of Mexicans are involved in on a day-to-day basis, which I know contributes to the decay of society. Um, I was having a conversation with an individual yesterday, and I asked him, "How do you build a successful society?" And the way you build a successful society is that you have to have people in your society who are willing to stand up and go to work and provide for themselves. And the point that I was trying to make is that if government removes the incentive, the motivation for work, people are not going to work. If government overtaxes, and I'm talking about the American government and Obama's idea that we'll just continue to tax the rich, uh, isn't going to work because you're going to remove the incentive to work. And again, the point is that American tax dollars are a limited resource and they need to be administered responsibly, setting real priorities. The plight of the Mexican illegal immigrant is not a priority for the United States of America. To solve the issue, yes, that's a priority. To secure the border, to to stop illegal immigration from Mexico into the United States of America. That is a priority, has to be dealt with. Now, I know that the bad attitude that exists in the average Mexican is not uh, a beneficial attitude to the United States of America. If they didn't believe in their country, if they didn't believe in themselves, if they decided to take the attitude that nothing works and why bother, how can you trust them to have a good attitude in the United States of America? Is it because America is just a different culture? Is it because in America they'll be able to believe in politicians and not be so cynical about business people? Is it because in America you don't have the level of crime that has dominated Mexico? Therefore, you can live a relatively comfortable life without crime, drugs, executions affecting your life. Uh, when I studied psychology, I studied it. I didn't barely pass. I didn't barely get by. My grades were not that good, but I burned the information of my psychology textbooks into my mind. And as a psychological analysis, you're not going to tell me that a person who has spent 40 years uh, following a bad attitude and living according to a bad attitude is all of a sudden going to adapt a good attitude, a positive attitude, an attitude of confidence, of setting goals, of finding things that will motivate them. This is probably going to take some series. I'll have to call this series one because when you do YouTube, you're limited in time. Um, but that is a very important issue. Who is the Mexican individual and what psychology do they work with? The other point, the moral dilemma rests firmly on the shoulders of the people of Mexico. The people of the United States of America are under no moral obligation to feed, shelter, provide health care for, educate, and to give employment to the people of Mexico. There's people who may make that moral case, but there is no real, legitimate moral case to hold the Americans responsible for the people of Mexico. Every single one of us has to do what is right. Whether we originated in Mexico, whether we originated in the United States of America, in Canada, in Libya, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, every single one of us has to do what is right. It is wrong to trespass on your neighbor's property. It is wrong to break into your neighbor's home, to help yourself to the food your neighbor has in his or her kitchen, to ransack the place, to steal their electronics, and then when they come home, to tell them that they have to be responsible for you for the rest of your life. That's wrong. And that is exactly what people who are coming from Mexico into the United States of America are doing. They're trespassing, they're breaking and entering, they're stealing, and they are presuming to put on the moral responsibility of the basic necessities of life. So this section is on the attitude and the moral obligation of the people of Mexico to respect their neighbors and to stop crossing into the United States of America illegally.